Hey, everybody, Mark Herman, a.k.a. LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms. I'm joined here again by Jake Sirkus, who is going to he's going to remind you that he's got a podcast, but he was with us last week. And this is a spur of the moment show. Jungle Talk. We're going to call it the Jungle Talk Free Agent Frenzy Show. Yeah. So this was just a spur of the moment. I was just so excited by what I saw the Bengals doing today that we had to put up something. So I reached out to Jake real quick. Are you in between classes right now? Or
I was up late last night. So the first episode of my podcast came up this morning, and we recorded myself and my guests. We recorded at like 5 o'clock in the morning last night. Then I had class at 9. So I've kind of been on and off sleeping. So I was sleeping during the Cappa news.
right?
I woke up like 20 minutes after that happened. I was like, let's go. And then I was sleeping through the Karras news, and I was like, all right, 15 minutes later, let's go. So I've been on and off sleeping for the last couple of hours, pretty much all day. But I'm excited. I do like what they've done, and we're gonna talk about it. But I'm glad to be back on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you for being available on the spur of the moment. If just before I forget, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all I ask. So hit that little subscribe button, hit the bell, get the notifications. Also, please give us the thumbs up. It's a big thing with YouTube. It's how they decide their suggestions, and this will make it so more Bengal fans get this video suggested to them. So please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. It's all we ask. So let's backtrack because we did our show last week. I told you Ryan Jensen was my dream signing. There were all indications that we were the designated target, and then Brady announces he's coming back. So obviously Jensen re-ups yesterday. That puts all the Gronk talk away, which I didn't want to sign Gronk anyway, but that puts the Gronk talk. But clearly, once they had extended Jensen, they couldn't afford Cappa. It was one or the other kind of thing. So because they have Fournette, they have a lot, the Godwin franchise tag, they have a lot of moving pieces as well. So we grabbed Cappa, which was a great start to the morning, and then we get the Karras news, and Karras fits the mold perfectly because he's that versatile offensive lineman that can play center, can play guard. So we really like that. And then we both talked up BJ Hill last week, and we got BJ Hill extended. So, re-signs with us. So just a great morning. What are your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, it's been certainly day one was unexpected to go like this. If you asked me yesterday, I probably would have told you that, yeah, they'll probably get BJ done today and then maybe sign a depth guy just to get the wheels going. But the Bengals being the first team to make a move, the Bengals illegally tampering, because you don't just sign someone a minute into free agency. There has to be something going before you're actually allowed to
it's legal tampering
with free agents. Not legal, not until 12 Eastern. So
right.
Cappa signed at 12:01. So like I'm fine with it, but the Bengals never do that. So that certainly surprised me, giving out $40 million. I don't know what number of that is guaranteed. I know Karras' contract just came out with $5 million guarantee, which Bengals don't really get guaranteed money, but it certainly is exciting. They're building their offensive line through the spine up, like around. So they're starting with the interior, which I agree with. And when you look at the scope of the league and the way the Bengals normally operate, they don't sign guards. So the fact that they found 2 guards that they like as scheme fits, as character fits, as locker room fits, and both guys are versatile is really, really impressive. We both agreed that they weren't going to go after Brandon Scherf, that they probably weren't going to end up with Laken Tomlinson because there were so many other fits and teams that were going to dish out money to Laken Tomlinson. But there were so many guys that the Bengals could have gotten. And I think they ended with 2 guys whom they obviously clearly like, and the fans can get behind. Like, I can get behind Ted Karras being the center for the Bengals in 2022, and I can certainly get behind Alex Cappa being the right guard, especially considering what the Bengals had at those 2 positions in 2021 as a Super Bowl team. So it certainly is exciting, and I said last week about the 3 technique position that they need to at least re-sign one of them, and looking at the contract that both of those guys got, the Bengals made the right decision. And this was not the Bengals being cheap. Larry Ogunjobi was worse than BJ Hill last year, and BJ Hill is younger and got a way cheaper contract, a more team-friendly contract, a good year one cap hit. They're going to set him up nicely. They front-loaded the contract, and this type of contract you have to front-load. So the Bengals did a really, really good job there. It seems like they're learning. So this is really exciting, and I don't think they're done.
No, I don't think they're done either. And I did tweet out on the contract for like BJ Hill. It's a 3-year, $30 million contract, but 15 of it's being paid this year. So they did front load that. It's a great structure. Like I said, if you're noticing, all of these are 3-year deals because we've got to deal with Burrow in 2 years. So the back end of these contracts, the last year of all these contracts so far that they're doing right now, will be the year. They should be the cheapest year, and it'll be the year where we rip up our contract with Joe and give Joe his big contract. So it's good to see the team forward thinking. And yeah, this is something that I think this is well spent money. The Hill money.
Oh yeah.
Look at the Karras money. The Patriots offered him over the weekend 3 years, $15 million. And then back that down this morning, from what I read on Twitter, back that down to 3 years, 13. The Bengals come in and go, listen, we'll give you the 3 years, $18 million. And boom, done. Don't let him hit the open market. Don't get into a bidding war. Get somebody that's going to fit in your price range and clearly have the skill set that you like. And once again, athletic, versatile linemen that are flexible on where they play.
And tough. And that's been the Bengals' MO, is getting guys who want to win so desperately bad. And Alex Cappa, Ted Karras, there's some videos on YouTube of Ted Karras mic'd up, and he's a tough guy. But Alex Cappa, there was a story on him a couple months ago that was put out. I think it was The Athletic. He tried to play in the 2020 wildcard game with a broken leg, and this is just a guy who has not missed many games. As Karras too hasn't missed many games, but Alex Cappa is a bad MFer, and this guy just wants to win so bad. He already has a ring. He played with Tom Brady. This is the guy who the Bengals should be looking to roster, and they did, and they got him on a nice contract. He's not a stud by any stretch. He's not a great player, but he's a huge upgrade, and the Bengals are deeper, better, and more versatile than they were this morning. And that's really important, and they still have room to spend wherever else they want. If they want to get another 3 technique, if they don't really like the 3 technique class in the draft, they can do that. If they want to sign a third corner, they can do that. If they want to sign a right tackle, if they want to bring Riley Reef back, they can do that. And CJ too.
Oh,
CJ
yeah, we have a lot of flexibility left. We could re-sign Reef. We could re-sign Spain. We could re-sign Hopkins. I don't know what the vision is, whether they want Karras playing center and bump Hopkins over, let Hopkins go, replace him, replace Spain. Maybe there's a lot, but they haven't. They've left themselves enough room to really audible on what goes on. And we still have the Collins trade that could go down. So that's still on the table. The Cowboys are looking to move that contract. So I keep reading. I know last week we talked and you said you would be really surprised that the Cowboys let Collins hit the market, but it looks like, I don't know what their plans are. And if they're trying to free up the cap space, I would love if there's any way to take the cap hit, get Collins and restructure that contract, or just leave it as is. I'm not a cap guru and all that, but like I said, we haven't done anything to close any of those doors. Spain's still on the table. Hopkins is still on the table. I think Hopkins should stay just for depth because we do want to have a person who can come in and play center. If we're going to play Karras at center, Hopkins should still be there for depth. So that's my feeling. But we'll see. We'll see what the grand scheme is. I'm just so happy. This team looks like it's finally forward thinking. You look at the structures of the contracts, the term of the contract.
Yeah,
they're thinking 3 years down the road. On when we have to take care of Joe. So just excited. I don't know how else to say it. It's been a great day for us this morning.
And the Collins thing is interesting. It's more likely now today that they're going to end up releasing him, which I think is crazy that they're not going to find a trade partner. I don't know how a team is throwing, a third or a fourth of the Cowboys' way for someone like Landon Collins. Maybe they're worried about the character stuff because he did play through a suspension last year, and or I think it was in 2021. The Cowboys suspended him for team reasons. So maybe some teams are worried about that. That doesn't really seem like a guy the Bengals like, a guy who's been suspended before. But he's a really, really good player. He'd be the best offensive lineman on the team. I'm not going to shut that door yet, but it seems like we should be shutting the door on a trade. If it hasn't happened yet, it's probably not going to. But look, the Bengals won a bidding war with Ted Karras. I don't know if they're going to win a bidding war for La'el Collins, but if again, I said this last week, if they're playing a game tomorrow, they don't have a right tackle, so they need to address that, whether it's through draft. I don't think they should draft the right tackle. They're a little low to be drafting a day one starter, to be drafting for need there. I'd pick 31. So there's still guys out there. I look at Morgan Moses, Darrell Williams was released by Buffalo today. He's very good. The only thing with Williams and Cappa is Kappa's not really athletic, and neither is Darrell Williams. So if you kind of hide a bad athlete at guard if you have an athletic right tackle, and so I'm not a big fan of that fit. But Collins is really athletic, so if they do that, then the Cappa thing even makes more sense.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's an exciting time. I'm going to throw this out there, and I said this last year when we went from worst to first and we clinched our division. I said, the last two times we did this, we made the Super Bowl. We went worst to first and won the division. And sure enough, we actually did. When I made that comment, I thought we'd win a playoff game or two. I didn't think we'd make the Super Bowl, but we did. And we ended up facing Whitworth. Well, I'm going to throw out something here. What if we were to get to the Super Bowl and we have Cappa now who gets to face Brady? We wind up playing Brady in the Super Bowl. It would be that same kind of thing. I'm just I look at the universe, and guy can dream. So when we first got Cappa and Brady came out, that was my first thinking was, hey, we could have that Whit reunion sing. Like I said, I'm wearing the Super Bowl shirt again. Other pocket. There we go. Wearing the Super Bowl shirt again. I think we got a chance to get back. I know it's hard to get back, but they certainly are invigorating the fan base with what they did today. So being aggressive right away. And we are a better offensive line right now than we going into the season, just with what we did today. And we're not done. I don't think we're done by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. I think that there's still some room to improve. Again, whether it's the draft, whether it's, the right tackle is what they need to do. And they don't really have a left guard right now either. Like I'm assuming that they're under that the Bengals are under the assumption that they don't want Trey Hopkins to start at center. In that case, he sure as hell ain't gonna move back to guard because he was horrible when he played guard a couple years ago. He found his home at center and was fine. But this is a team that's trying to figure out how do we get this offensive line to be average at worst. Like they want the offensive line to be the floor of the offensive line to be league average, which is 15th or 16th best in the National Football League. And to do that, you need to have 5 capable guys. You can't really have a hole. You can't have, you at least have to have 4 guys who really know what they're doing out there. 4 guys who are above average offensive linemen, and then if a guy misses a game, you can have an Isaiah Prince out there for a game or two. But you can't be playing Isaiah Prince in the Super Bowl. And Identity and Hopkins, who guys who get PFF grades in the 30s and 40s. That's unacceptable. So the Bengals' vision is clear after today. They did not mess around, and that's what's exciting to me. Is it's not that they got world beaters. They didn't sign Teron Armstead or Scherf, or they haven't traded for Collins. I haven't got Collins yet, but they got guys who they were clearly targeting, because considering they signed Cappa 1 minute into the legal tampering period, which was funny. But
there might have been a conversation at the combine with the agent, something like that. And the player never was talked about, but there might have been hypotheticals discussed,
Right. But I think that the vision is definitely clear. We weren't really sure. We knew they needed to get at least 2 new starters. They were most likely going to get 3, and I think they're mostly going to end up with 3 new starters in 2022. And then Williams and either Carmen or Spain. That's probably what the offensive line should look like. I don't really think they're going to bring Reef back, so I think we're going to be a new starter going from center, right guard to right tackle, which were the 3 weakest spots on the line last year. So it makes sense. That's a Bengals thing to do. It makes a lot of sense to me. They're going to take the three worst positions from last year, and they're going to bring in all new guys. So if they bring Spain back, that's fine. Carmen at left guard, again, not the end of the world as long as they fix the right tackle. So the vision is absolutely clear, and they're doing everything they can to find that vision without changing much of normally what they do, which is fine. No one expects the Bengals to change how they normally operate because they made the Super Bowl last year. Now we don't need to, they can't take the foot off the gas. But my point is the vision is there, and the way in which they normally operate, they can still see that vision as long as they hit on the guys that they end up bringing in.
Yeah, so I agree. With Obi-Wan, and I'm not going to mispronounce his name. There's a viewer that always corrects because it's Oganobi, or I always mispronounce it. So we're just going to call him Obi-Wan, but I don't begrudge him. We were never going to give him a contract like that. I'm much happier with the Hill signing, and we wish Larry the best and good luck in Chicago, because we were never going to put up that number for him. So there's no animosity there, but I think the Bengals are spending right. Once, like I said, it's we haven't had the release of Trey Wayans yet, have we?
No, they're gonna. It's coming. It's coming.
I know. Yeah, I think so too.
They're slow. Their Bengals are slow with this type of stuff. They like to wait it out, but it's coming.
Yeah,
he has no spot on the team. There's no spot for him.
Right. And we need his cap number. We can do more with his number in free agency than have him take it. So we need that cap space. So
right, because they brought Eli Apple off the street, and you're honestly better off throwing a dart in the third round on a corner instead of paying Trey Waynes $10 million. Now, I don't think that they should throw a rookie out there, but if they're considering starting Trey Waynes, a rookie might be a little worse than Trey Waynes for $8 million cheaper. So Trey Waynes has no spot on the team. There's little to zero chance he's on the team on opening day.
Yeah. What do you think? I think we're going to re-sign Spain. I think we just are going to keep Spain in the fold. I think he had a good year.
Yeah,
especially towards the end of the season, he played very well in the playoffs for us. So
a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth because he gave up the shed to Donald on the last play of the Super Bowl. But Spain was really good. He was the best offensive lineman on the team last year. He was a little bit better than Jonah. Jonah.
He had his moments. I know.
Jonah. We need to have that conversation about Jonah if this offensive line actually really wants to become one of the league's best, which I don't know if that's the vision because they have so many athletes on the outside. It's really realistic to have a top offensive line. You really just want to go for slightly above average. So in that case, Jonah's a fine left tackle, but Spain was their best offensive lineman last year. He was an above average left guard, and he was arguably the only offensive lineman on the team that played above average to their position. Maybe Jonah, some metrics say Jonah was below average, but Spain was consensusly a slightly above average left guard. And that's, again, they got an above average right guard. They have an above average center now. I think Jonah Williams is an above average left tackle who's continuously getting better. And Spain's an above average left guard. That is, at worst, the 16th or 15th best offensive line of football. And when you see disaster classes like Carolina's offensive line and Atlanta's offensive line and Miami's offensive line and Cincinnati now with their offensive personnel, if they have a mid offensive line that can get better with coaching and keep on bringing guys in, and their left tackle is really, really young, and they're going to draft someone else and Jackson Carman too, they're only going to get better.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you know what we didn't have today, which I was really happy to see, is the Bengals did not do a Kirk signing. They did not pay $84 million for not even a top tier wide receiver. I mean, this wasn't Jarvis. I wouldn't have paid it for any of the receivers out there, but certainly, I mean, you had Jarvis Landry. Obviously, OBJ's got the asterisk next to him because of the injury. But $84 million for Kirk, who wasn't even the main guy there. I don't know what Jacksonville's thinking. You bring bodies in, but some of these numbers, I didn't want to see the Bengals do that, trying to make a splash, overpay for Armstead or something like that. We didn't do that. So, because that, like the Kirk signing, that's just a head scratcher. I mean, did this guy suddenly become Jamar Chase or something? I mean, to where he warrants 4 years, $84 million.
Yeah. The Bengals, the way they operate is never just throwing money at any guy. And when they started to spend money in 2020, when they did it last year with Hendrickson, Hilton, Awuzie, and now this year with the continuously bringing in offensive linemen, they're they're not the type of team to just throw money at people. This is the second consecutive year that Jacksonville has done exactly that. We see teams like the Jets do it year in and year out. We saw what they did with Mosley and Bell in 2016 and how horrible that was. And then Jacksonville did it last year, and Miami does it a lot. And that's why these teams don't win games, because they just continuously overspend on day one. Christian Kirk, when something crazy happens in sports, I always try to make it make sense. And one thing that in the last 2 years that I was just unable to make sense was the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I just could not make that make sense. Right. And this Christian Kirk signing is honestly up there too. I have no idea what this is, because Christian Kirk's a fine player. Now Jacksonville has the cap space, but DJ Chark's not going to re-sign now, and he was their best weapon. So you're downgrading, I think, at your number one wide receiver. The Laviska Shenault pick is looking worse and worse as time goes on. Travis Etienne is coming off of an injury, and he has a huge body of work coming off of college, so he might not even work out. James Robinson tore something. Not his was it ACL or something, but he was out for the year and long road to recovery. They don't really have a tight end. They're skill position players, even though they have Marvin Jones. It not good.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, it's not spending money wisely, which the Bengals are doing, and that's
right.
I just sit there and I look at you just kind of, and what he's done. I'm thank goodness that Chase isn't hitting the open market next year. I mean, this Kirk signing is going to affect, now people are going to have to overpay for Jarvis Landry. I mean, this is going to bump all the wide receivers up for at least the next year if people point to this contract. So thank goodness we have Chase for a couple more years before we even have to deal with that. A few more years. So
well, Higgins is going to come up, and seeing these wide receivers get paid, I'm interested to see what Chark gets. Michael Gallup kind of weirded out the wide receiver market. He got 5 years coming off a torn ACL. So, but look, for teams who need wide receivers, I don't agree with just throwing out money at the third or fourth best free agent, because there's all these guys who are running sub 4.4s at the combine, and that's going to be the new league MO, is just athletes everywhere coming in the wide receiver position, the draft. So it's never been easier, I guess, to just find athletes. It might be harder to develop them because corners are getting better and better, and there's more athletes on the defensive side of the ball. It's getting really hard to play good football in the NFL these days. But Higgins is coming up, and the Bengals need to re-sign Chase and Higgins. They can't have a revolving door of top wide receivers. Right. So that'll be interesting. The Mike Williams deal kind of calmed me down a little bit, seeing the way they structured it, because Mike Williams is not going to see the end of that contract. So that made me feel good, because that was an in-house guy, not an out-of-house guy. So Higgins will want to come back, I believe, and maybe a 4-year, give him $18 million a year and call it a day. But Chase might get like 25, which is a little concerning.
Right. It's and I like the Higgins. We're going to have to deal with this stuff as time's up, and Higgins is the first domino to drop. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Once again, Jake, thanks for being available. We'll throw something up as stuff goes on. Maybe next week we'll recap all the free agency. I just wanted to get this bonus episode up for you guys because it was such an exciting morning for us. The BJ Hill thing also, just like I said, we are a better team than we were 24 hours ago. And that's there should be some real excitement at the fan base right now. And we'll see how everything shakes out. The Bengals will hang out. We will wait for one of those bargains to come up. Like I said, we have some cap casualties that are going to hit the market too that aren't even out there yet. So yeah,
that's kind of where I think they might go at right tackle. I think that they might go for one of the guys who are going to be released. Turner, the Packers right tackle, was released. He's a good athlete. That's a fit that I like for Cincinnati, and he's going to be cheap. I don't know if he'll have a big market, because a lot of teams kind of have their right tackle. It's not really a hard position to fill. Left tackle is a lot harder to fill, but the Bengals definitely need one, and that's probably where I think they go next, if not re-signing Quentin Spain for left guard.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll throw something up maybe next week. We'll see how it's all fluid. So, but Jake, remind everybody where they can find your podcast.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter, Jake Sirkus, and I just released the first episode of my brand new podcast, the Jake Sirkus podcast on Spotify. And there's a YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm going to post on YouTube, but definitely follow it on Spotify. There's some good episodes there. And then I got some fun guests planned in the future. So make sure to check it out.
Excellent. All right. And like I always said, if you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask, and give us a thumbs up. And you should be excited today because the Bengals are a better team than they were yesterday. So with that, I'm going to say, hoo day, everybody. And we'll catch you later. Take care.